It being September 20th at 6:30 p.m. in meeting room 4, I'll call to order the meeting of the Carver Redevelopment Authority. I'm going to take the chairman's discretion and adjust our agenda slightly, and because one of our members has to leave a little early, we need his report. I'm going to go ahead and take item 3 first, which is the Wade Street report. Joanna and Savory had a meeting with the town administrator, Mr. Hennessy, recently on the process that we should suggest or take. I would like to, I'd like them to give us their discussion. If you want to go ahead, Savory?
Yeah, Savory, good.
With Bob Hennessy and Elaine Weston
Yeah, just about that.
to talk about the not disputed, but the difference in ownership of the Wade Street property. Currently, the RDA is the owner of the property, but in 2012, the select board voted to take it, but they haven't done anything about it. So basically, since it's now come back up, and there's talk about giving it to conservation, we have to make sure that we understand what the ownership is going to be. So basically, we spoke with Bob and Elaine. Elaine put together the timeline of everything, but the bottom line of what was decided is that Joanna and I are going to appear before the select board on Tuesday, the 18th of October.
Yeah, I had it wrong.
At 6:15 p.m. to basically ask them what their choice is, whether they want to either follow through on their acquisition of the property from the RDA 10 years ago, in which case we have to spend money, it has to go in front of a town meeting if they're going to give it to conservation, and they have to re-register it as being town of Carver ownership, or select board ownership.
So we would also have to create the deed.
Right. Right. The converse way is for them to rescind their vote of 10 years ago.
Right.
And relinquish the property to us and just say that they no longer feel that they want it, in which case it's a much quicker process because we already own it. There's no new deed, there's no town meeting vote. It's just a matter of the select board saying we've changed our mind. So that's basically it. It's in a nutshell. We did look at some maps. We did have a GIS map overlaid on a satellite photo.
Yeah, I got that.
I sent all that out to the
Yeah, I
company.
got that. That was good.
Yeah. It's a little difficult to see.
You gotta really blow it up with your
Yeah,
software on your computer.
but
Well, that's to print it, but you can really see them.
Well,
Right.
yeah, okay.
But there's some landmarks that you can see in a current Google satellite photo, and there is an outbuilding. Looks like a relatively large
I
size
blew it up.
Yeah.
garage or barn or something that is on the property in question. It is not on the homeowner's property.
Mm-hmm.
So, one way or another, this property is going to have to be surveyed again and staked, and then we'll have to deal with whatever intrusions onto the property there have been.
I think it would be a case of, once the select board has made their decision and either rescinded the vote that night or take it up for discussion at the following meeting, I think at the point where the ownership has become clear, then that party, either the select board or the RDA, will approach the encroachment. And maybe we need to wait till we have the survey.
Yes, oh, I think so.
Yeah, the ownership party probably.
Yeah, I think that, you know, not only putting in bounds if those are necessary, but
Yeah.
staking it every
Right.
50 feet.
Right.
So the abutters know exactly where their property line ends.
Exactly. And then whoever the ownership party is, I think they notify the abutters when somebody's going to be coming on the property to do the survey anyway.
Right.
That would be the appropriate
Well,
thing to do.
these abutters within 30 feet, including the Boulay family, they all got letters. Because this meeting on the 18th is a public hearing. Did you know that? It's public.
Yeah, they said they were, well,
So these people on this list that I sent you, they're all getting letters to know that that meeting is happening, and they're invited to attend with however she worded the letter, I don't know where it is.
well, is there time for publication?
She's doing it, they've done,
October 18th, yeah.
yeah.
To make it
It's gotta
October
be, it's gotta be in 2 weeks ahead of time. So
Okay.
there's, we're,
Yeah, I was only speaking in terms of if the RDA ends up, retaining ownership of this property, if we pay for and we hire the survey crew, we let the abutters know that there will be people walking behind and around.
Right.
Oh,
around
from
your
that
property,
perspective?
From that
Yeah.
perspective,
Okay, yeah.
Not from a discussion perspective, it's just
Okay.
kind of letting you know.
Okay.
So the key is, and did Mr. Fennessy give you any indication of any way anybody was leaning, or did they have any other discussions
no,
prior?
no.
No.
There was no one there from the select board. And, but basically, we presented our case, and the scenario that we were hoping for was that we would retain ownership. Just because it would be less expensive, quicker, and less of a headache for a lot of people.
And we even told them, yeah, exactly. We
And
were told-
and Bob didn't put out any objections.
No, not at all.
Nor did Elaine.
No,
So
not at all.
Okay,
I think it's going to be pretty much a non-issue.
I hope so.
I hope so. I mean, there was these random discussions several years ago about, either affordable housing going there, but it's not a suitable parcel. And it's just a case of protecting either that section or, the water and the sand, especially with the rather large subdivision that's going behind it now. I mean, the links at Patriot Pines is actually pretty significant.
Yep.
Patriot Pines, that's what they call it?
Yeah,
They call it the
that's
links at Patriot
The
Pines.
55 and over,
Oh,
55.
next to the golf course.
Oh, okay.
They don't actually own any of the links.
I was just gonna say.
Right.
That's all I'm talking.
Property.
Is that where the links are going to go, in that section of property behind it?
It's in the Plymouth section.
Oh, okay, so it's, yeah, not much.
Now, in addition to that, I also sent you out the information that I got back from Sarah as I wrote to her. I sent that to all the committee, so they would know about the conservation, the repay, how we could get paid back.
Right in there.
And so that would be
Behind those
nice.
individual
Yeah,
lots.
I just want to make sure that anything Savory needs to
Yeah.
get to us so he can get to this meeting. So it's on the 18th at 6:15. You and Joanna will go in front of the select board.
Right.
If anyone else shows up, it's a quorum, and we're not doing a joint meeting, and we don't feel it's necessary to do a joint meeting.
Right.
Because they're going to present the information, and they've been given the timeline. Elaine was given the timeline that Joanna.
That's basically what she gave us.
Yeah.
These were the
She
copies.
gave it back?
She gave it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quick question,
Yep.
probably more for Savory. Is there any plus side or benefit in the town retaining or having the ownership?
Well, this is Sharon and I spoke briefly about this a little bit earlier today, and I think this is something we maybe should put on our agenda for our next meeting. The hope, and what Joanna had said all along, was the hope was that whoever owns it grants it to the Conservation Commission. The Conservation Commission, in effect, would have to accept it. And there would have to be a valid reason why conservation would want that land. I'm not saying that they wouldn't, but it goes to a vote of the Conservation Commission. We do not have a maintenance budget for properties, so we have a little stipend that comes from the fees that are charged for permitting. But, you know, we have property, the conservation owns a lot of property along Savory Avenue. We can't keep those paths open because we have, you know, no money to do it, no people to do it. So, you know, it's a noble gesture to try to get as much conservation land as possible, but to what end is that? You know, if we can't manage what we've got already, you know, is there some compelling reason why conservation would want that? And that's what's going to have to be presented to Conservation Commission when the time comes.
And then if they don't want it, they don't have to have it. Is that right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right, and then it still belongs to the RDA.
And then it still belongs to the RDA, but that's, you're just looking at a cleaner and quicker way of getting it to the Conservation Commission if we retain ownership.
Offering it to
And
Conservation.
offering
Yeah.
that to them.
Right.
Yeah.
So are there any ways in which the town's maintenance department can
Well,
provide some services?
This is probably what's going to be part of the discussion.
Conservation properties, I mean, that's,
Probably not the way the budget is right now. There's not really a line item for maintaining conservation land, but again,
that's kind of irrelevant.
well,
Yeah, no, to me it is, anyway.
okay, I understand that, but
There's if you want to get something done, there's
Oh,
always
this is
a
our
way.
FinCom guy.
There's always a way to do it, okay?
yes, I understand that, but I think that this is going to be part of the discussion that we have.
Yeah.
Is that, and that is, not all land that is available should be conservation land.
Good point, yeah.
All right, I think we should put this on the agenda. It's a little
Yeah,
off topic for next time.
Vote it down.
But conservation can't and shouldn't be the catch-all for every piece of property
No, it shouldn't, no.
that the town doesn't want
Right.
anymore. Because it's just going to go derelict, and it could become the next ATV capital of Carver, because we don't have the wherewithal to patrol it, enforce it. I mean, we look at the problem we have with the coal property.
Yeah.
I mean, we're putting boulders there all the time, and they get moved all the time.
Yeah,
So,
good points.
So I have a
Yes.
question.
Yeah.
This is all part of that development. So it was all sectioned off and like a development. I don't know what that area is called.
Vaughn Estates.
Vaughn Estate.
Vaughn Estate?
Vaughn Estates.
Okay, so if it's part of Vaughn Estates and it's already in the development, it belongs to that neighborhood. If it belongs to that neighborhood, don't they, to keep that portion?
it belongs to the Redevelopment Authority right now.
But I mean,
Initially intent.
initial intent was supposed to be commissioned to that development
Right.
for recreation.
Yes.
How did that, this doesn't have to be explained right this second, but I mean, how did it tumble into our hands when it should
I can do
technically
this.
be part of the department?
I live in that neighborhood.
Development.
So I live in that neighborhood, and the way it came to the RDA is that when developers, particularly the one who developed this neighborhood, had useless pieces of land that he either used for a stump dump when he was building the houses, and it didn't fit in. They would dedicate those as recreational parcels and then not pay the taxes on them, because the taxes would still be under the ownership of the owner, the developer. So they didn't pay the taxes on them, they were taken for taxes. They're all over town, all the Cranberry Estates has them, we had two. So they ended up under the control of the tax collector. They take them for taxes, they're foreclosed on, and now they're owned by the town. They deeded it to us. And it would take like a homeowners association of the 140 houses there.
131. Yeah.
Feels like more. To pay into an HOA fee in order to pay the taxes on it. If we gave it to a private enterprise, such as the Vaughan Estates Homeowners Association,
Right.
then they'd be in charge of it.
And they would be every one of the 140 residents that would potentially contribute to pay the tax of this property they can all use.
They could only use it.
They can only.
Can I
Is that a
interject?
bad thing? That's not a bad thing.
Right, but you really need buy-in from everybody to pay
Okay,
the taxes.
so let me interject.
But a lot of those people sign that, they
Okay.
say they want to protect it, right?
Back up.
No.
Okay, back up.
Got it.
Today, not like she's talking about, today, when they create a parcel of land like that, they create a conservation plan. The conservation plan in that restricted particular 6.32 acres would have been assigned for a walking park or so forth.
Yeah.
This is the part that everybody now contributes, and this is how. When the taxes are completed for that whole entire area, if they have a light coming in there, or a roadway, or a rock with a name or whatever, all these little pieces are all together taxed as one tax by the town, and they get a tax bill with 2 lines on it. Tax for whatever this costs for their home, and the tax for all this other stuff that I'm telling you, which is divided up by the number of residents. So today it's taken care of. The town has taken care of that big problem. I live in Wenham Shores, that's the same problem. Forest Street, same problem. Because it was in the best interest of the forefathers that we had then, because we were a small town, we had no recreation, and they said, oh, you want to build? You want to put houses? Oh, you got to make some area for recreation. And that's how it all got started. But now they've corrected it all.
And it's not really recreation area. Nobody put up swing sets or parks, or there's not a ball field over there. It's just, the one thing, I mean, we would have to have a discussion with conservation. And the other thing, and this is where we might bring Kathleen O'Donnell in, is whether we can simply put a conservation restriction on the deed.
That's what I think
On our
we should-
deed. So we
yeah.
would simply record a conservation restriction. We can't, I don't know that we can limit it just to the neighborhood. We have, this is where Kathleen might come in, but we have to declare it basically passive recreation, which means walking, hiking, no hunting, no ATVs, that kind of thing.
And you,
But there is no enforcement. Again, we have no enforcement.
Right.
it's the people that live there. You know, they can, it's for their benefit primarily,
Yeah.
if anything happened. Today, it's typically wooded, and the only thing that's grown is everything that's there. I mean, that's all.
Does anyone use it now?
I think they walk in, the kids walk
I
in,
think
they
some
probably have
kids
their trail bikes, sweet little sticks.
Yeah, but that would have to stop.
No, but
The
I'm saying,
motorized.
motorized.
Yeah, but the mountain, you know, I think they do a little biking in there. I
Yeah.
think If kids are still kids, they probably have a fort back there.
You could go in the pond and fish. If you could
Yeah.
cross over and you'd go right there and make Peace Pond and fish.
Yeah, so,
So you could put down, you know, a trail if you want, but no one really has done that.
Yeah, and that was the other part, when we were talking about the, all like different areas that have parks, like you're talking about the Savory District and
Yeah.
stuff like that, hard to maintain them. Don't they fall under like partial forestry, so like they would come in and like help redo that?
No, they
Boy
don't.
Scouts kind of stuff?
There are certain parts that come under state. A lot of around Edaville is owned by the Mass Wildlife, and they have some ability to maintain the things that they own. But the land that is owned by the Carver Conservation Commission, and there are probably about 8 or 10 parcels. There's Savory Avenue, there are probably more than that.
You're gonna get Wenham Shores, the recreation area's
Right.
coming your way too.
Right, that's another one. What happens there? Who takes care of that?
We do.
Well, okay, and that's fine. You know, volunteer work is great, but the one thing about volunteers is they can call up tomorrow and say, I'm done.
But yeah, I
So,
mean, Sarah started something to try to help.
I know, and it's dying on the vine.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same 5 people going out with weed whackers trying to maintain paths through the woods by Savory Avenue, and the weeds
Yeah.
grow faster than we can work. So,
I personally think when I was on the committee, dealing with all this, Roger, and myself and Bob Bellman in the early days, the fear I have is if this not part of a conservation doesn't take it over, and the town says, okay, 6.32 acres, let's give it or sell it to, what's that company's name? Oasis, you just said it.
Patriot Pines.
Patriot Pines is gonna want that
It's
section.
Bristol Brothers.
Because you wanna know why? Because right now, their plan is gonna have to, they can't put all the houses they really probably mentally wanna put, but if you buy that 6.32 acres, you can redo that whole plan,
Well, they can't put any on it, but they can offer it up as open space.
open space. But now, if they redo the plan, and that's now open space, they can now put wherever was before open space, that now can become 1 or 2 houses or whatever they were gonna put. So that's their interest. But that's not for the people that went there, that lived there,
You know,
like
you know,
say. I'm
Third
sorry.
hand, second hand, I've heard that they're not interested. So,
Well, that's just the rumor that's going around. In the early
No,
days,
Well, it was definitely in play in 2019.
so,
Sorry, you leaving, Saber?
I gotta go.
Okay.
So in the early days, Makepeace wanted that because their land is here. And they wanted to dig out that sand and they wanted to sell it. And they were gonna cut through Wade Street for the trucks. And
Yeah, but, I mean,
that didn't enter our mind. But when,
Makepeace has never, I mean, they haven't owned it, and they,
no, they wanted it. That's why all this trouble started, because we wrote a PNS. They went to the planning board.
way back when.
Oh, yeah, I just dug it up.
Okay.
We have a bill that we reimbursed.
Saber, you can go if you
All
like.
right.
I'm sorry, we reimbursed Makepeace of $1,351.56 because they were gonna sue us. And we said, oh, whoa. So that's how we cleared that up. So
Again, that was a decade ago.
to me, it's a water source, it should be saved. That's how I look at it.
Well, everywhere in town is a water
Yes,
source because
the
we're
same.
all the same aquifer, and I don't,
That's right, I think it's,
for protecting it as a water source, I question whether that meets the bar
I
of
was
whether
gonna
it's
say that
conservation
might be
land.
a hard sell.
Yeah.
well, that's one of the
I mean, we're
reasons.
not anywhere in an aquifer district over there at all, right?
Well, I mean, you're in the Buzzards Bay watershed, and that's really all. I mean, there are no wetlands over there, so,
Well, there's all of Makepeace bogs.
yes, but,
You don't count those.
yes, but conservation, as far as the jurisdiction, is only 100 feet within any
Okay.
bog, so
Okay.
there's not a lot there that, should something happen, conservation would be able to protect against.
Okay, well, thank you.
Something.
And our first step again is to go to the select board and see where this sits.
Yes.
And then we will move on from the discussion from there.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think that when Savory and Joanna go in front of the select board, we can make any, affirmation of any kind that it's going to go to conservation, because we haven't presented.
That's a suggestion.
Yeah, we haven't presented.
I mean, you can petition conservation to take it over.
Well, somebody I assume will be talking to them.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you,
Take care.
Larry.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Joanna, I know you had more information. I just wanted to make sure that we got the part about Bob Fennessy out first. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add to?
Well, I said, yeah, I wrote to Sarah Ewens, who was on the conservation, as she was the conservation agent at the time. She was our conservation about 15 years. And I wanted to have more information about the trust fund that they have, the money. I wanted to make sure that we could be reimbursed. I wanted to make sure that we took the right path. If the suggestion was to go to Concom, that route, that we knew what to do and how to do it. Now, you mentioned Kathleen writing up the deed and, with that information, I don't know, that would come from her. But she clearly stated that that could be done. She talked about the fact of the encroaching and that monies and so forth. That was my particular concern, and I got those questions answered. I just want to make sure the board,
Zachary Layton.
I want to make sure the board understands the God. I'll call you later. Yeah, you. Excuse me. I knew I should have done this. Okay. Then that would be the information I wanted to transfer back to make sure the board understood. So if they read it, they'll understand.
Yep.
So-
Well, again, this is just like when we started this a couple of months ago, it's in steps. So the next step is to find out whether the select board is interested in hanging on to the parcel or simply rescinding the vote. The first thing I just wanted to know is, can they rescind the vote? And we did get an opinion from KPL, or they did.
That really wasn't necessary.
That, yeah, you can just take it back.
That's
Just-
it. It wasn't, no deed was ever created or anything.
Deed was never created, nothing was ever signed, it was votes a decade ago, and they can simply rescind the vote.
Which Bob Fennessy said they could easily have.
Yeah. This was
We
just
just
one
wa- the
just
reason-
one of those legal
Yeah, we
municipal law
We
questions.
just want it clean.
Just want it clean, that's our whole goal, is to try to keep things clean.
Right.
Okay, so our next move on that will be on the 18th, and we'll schedule our next meeting for after that. And then we'll see where that goes.
Okay.
We'll go back up to the Route 44 update. And I assume that everybody has heard that the Attorney General's office has approved the amendments.
Yeah.
We got that news yesterday morning, which I was very pleased with and happy not to have to think about that for right now. There is a 90-day appeal period, for which I assume any party of interest can appeal the Attorney General's decision, and that will take us to just about the first of the year or so. But that was the kind of the big thing that we've all been waiting for, and they could have taken it as late as October 13th. They're still waiting on the decision still waiting for the decision by the Attorney General's office on the 2 moratorium articles. Those have not come through yet, but all the articles related to the Green Business Park have been approved by the Attorney General. That news was given to Hillwood, to Matt Gutsy, and John Smolak, their attorney, and I've not heard anything from either one of those.
Been very quiet.
Very quiet.
Yes.
It's not a bad thing.
Well, it's not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing.
Sometimes, no news is good news, It's-
And I think once they get a clear indication about the appeal period, then we will almost be as busy as we were in the spring.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask you, when is the next busy start up again? Because, this has been after the 90-day period, unless there's an appeal, of course.
No, the appeal period is 90 days.
Within that time frame, if somebody appeals.
Yeah, if somebody appeals, I'm assuming they'll
Yeah.
take it right to summary judgment.
Right.
But what happens after that, I believe, is probably still in the hands of the landowner in Hillwood, because they have not transferred title yet. The plan that you want will have to be created.
Yeah.
The plan Joanne wants
I'm waiting for that biggie.
of the entire thing will be
Yeah.
created.
Yeah.
And at that point, the Redevelopment Authority will become working, I believe we'll probably have a joint meeting with the planning board as we start this process and outline our roles. But during the planning board sessions, we're likely to be the ones to say, because they're going to have to be given the URP, those big notebooks that we carry around sometimes, so that they understand everything that's in that. Because what I believe they're coming in with is as close to as of right with the new amendments in place as they can. There'll be some state DEP, possibly special permitting that they might need, but there are some minor things, I believe, but the planning board will be in the driver's seat for all of that. The DHCD, do you remember the amendments?
Yeah,
The draft
yeah,
amendments that we talked about? Those have been sent to the DHCD, to Maggie Schmidt, who is our liaison there, and she has 60 days to review those and give us feedback, and then the feedback that we get, we will formally adopt either the
I thought
changes.
we were gonna let Kathleen O'Donnell look at those also.
She did, I think she
did?
Yes, I've had them, we've had them for months.
Oh, I didn't know you sent them to her.
Yeah. I think it was sometime during her sailing days,
Okay,
but they're draft form only.
Yeah, that-
She said they were
of
fine.
course.
So that's all there is on that for right now. The amendments have been approved, and the DHCD has our draft proposals, which takes the big notebook that we had that has our the original URP in it, and tweaks it here and there, adds the parcel that they bought, and adds the change in height, the zoning height, and it incorporates the zoning changes into the URP. And the argument being is that they're not a major change. A major change would kick off an entirely new, everything. And they're not major changes. There's nothing in there that changes anything to do with what was the plan for the parcel 10 years ago.
So,
So we'll-
go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, so all that paperwork that they amend, change, modify, do we get an appendix of that so that this we can add to our binders and whatnot? Okay.
I'll make sure you have plenty of paperwork.
I don't know.
You want
My hands are
more.
empty.
You want more.
So my question is, in addition to all these articles, we wanted to have some traffic changes. When and how are those going to be?
That is all, that all happens after Hillwood takes possession of the property.
Okay.
And they were in charge of and paying for that, you know.
It's like about 10 grand somewhere along the line.
Yeah, but for the whole structure change, under the overpass where they were changing.
Yeah.
That's all Hillwood, they were doing it. So, but they can't really come forward with any of that until they're in possession of the property.
Oh, I understand. I
And
was
until
just
permitting.
waiting for
No.
the traffic person or persons that were involved.
That will all come during the permitting process,
Yeah, I'm
because another traffic study will be ordered,
I
they
would
said.
hope so.
And they'll have a clearer idea of the end user. And when they have a clear idea who the end user is, whether they are selling it or leasing it, long-term lease, then that's where the traffic study will have a clear idea of cars or trucks or.
Yeah, it's just so predominant. Everybody that talks to me, it's just the first thing out of their mouth, you know, it's like, well, we're talking about it, and, you know,
Well-
we're gonna get it done, don't worry, it's gonna look different,
Right.
different, you know, that's what I keep saying, and I said, you know, we're working hard and everything else, and that's probably gonna be one of the things that'll be in line, but it's a traffic study, it has to be obviously redone.
Exactly. And it has to be redone now with not so much as, you know, this is, you know, projected, this is more towards, we now know what's gonna go there. So that's, I mean, again, it's just a little further down the line.
Just a reminder, the proposed customer is, like Hillwood is going to, with the heights of the building, we're expecting the customer is going to be like an Amazon or somebody like that?
Yeah,
Well, I don't know, do you? You don't know.
I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, no.
And they said that they didn't know, and after telling me as many times as they did, I honestly believe them, because their history basically was they take possession of the land, develop it, and build to suit, but now they can market it. And the end user will likely be either an Amazon or, you know, Wayfair, that there's been some changes in the market. We've seen, newspaper articles about Amazon warehouses closing. And, I believe they're still building one in Middleborough.
Who's building that in Middleborough?
So,
In Middleborough?
mhm.
Where's that?
Where, Middleborough?
Yeah.
It's over off Route 25. It's the old Showbell. I may be saying it wrong.
Property, that big one?
Yeah.
Not too far from the YMCA, right? That
Yep.
big. that
It's a
land's-
farm.
Yeah, that land's been open for years. I did a decade ago. Beautiful.
the,
Nice land.
I believe the last parental,
Do you have to go past the YMCA to see it?
it's
From
off
here
Route
there,
20,
yeah.
it's off Route 25, that's off Grove Street, I believe.
Oh, I'll have to
25.
check it out.
It's a ways from here.
When what Hillwood did is they're projecting, this is the 21st century, and they know how people or distribution centers are today, so they had to go up.
Well, it was
Because of the racking systems.
It was
and
the
all that thing.
automation and, developments in that, so, and I've not spoken to them, I suspect that we will be hearing from them in the next month or so, a touch base. But that's where we are with them. So it's in the hands of the DHCD or,
Unknown caller.
Sorry.
It's your turn.
next on the agenda is Forest Street.
Oh, I got some good news.
You do?
I do.
What might that be?
Dan told me that, he called me up to tell me that he got his building permit issued to him
He did.
last week on the 14th.
I'm very happy. for
And
that.
that he had to drop his trip to Maine because they were so busy. However, he wanted to make sure that he still could close on the 28th, which we're set for.
Yeah, we're set for the 28th.
His lawyer's sending a paralegal here.
Okay.
You have touch bases with Kathleen.
I talked to her.
I saw the quitclaim deed that you were going to be signing.
I'm signing it tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Apparently, and I'm hoping, next to the selectmen is a small room, that's where the closing room will be.
She hasn't asked about a room for...
Did you tell her?
I did.
Okay.
And because my question was, she sent me this, and my question was, do I wait and sign it in front of you? It has to be signed in front of a notary, or can I just sign it and date it? And she's gonna send me her FedEx information, so I'm signing it in front of Elaine Weston tomorrow morning
Okay.
as the notary, and then I will FedEx it to her.
Oh, okay.
Back to Kathleen.
It's so electronic today, you just never know. But the fact Dan wants a presence of a closing. He wants presence, and I said, and he told me that his lawyer is sending a paralegal. So I said I would make sure that Sharon knew this conversation that we're having
Yeah.
now, that you'll be talking to
Yeah, I asked her if she
Kathleen O'Donnell.
needed a room here.
Yeah,
And,
and I have to tell you, that was always the room that we used before. It's available on that floor.
The other thing is does she have the information that she needs on,
Well, that's what I wanted to find out. When we closed before, we always ended up with 2 checks. The first check was written for the back taxes to the town of Carver, and the second check was just residual made out to us. And we deposited that huge check into our account, and we came up with all the incidentals and so forth. And we just took it off, kept the money, and gave the whatever
I mean,
was
it
left.
can still work that way, but we
I have it, I have it. We just don't know how much she's charging us, that's the biggest problem.
$175 for the closing.
Yeah, but she's putting her fingers on other things. Maybe I should send her an email and ask her. Because I have all the others, I have it all written down.
You have, that's what I was asking, did you go
Yeah.
through the
Yeah, I did.
checkbook, and we know
I did.
the, like the $800 and some odd dollars or whatever it was for the boundaries that we put in?
Well, the combination of everything. This is
Okay.
all of it here.
Okay.
I just have to add the second variance, we got the recording of that. And that was it. And just change a few dates, but that's typically where we are with that.
So, you know what, maybe you have a conversation with her.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna
because,
write you, tell her what we did before, you know.
Because she was having it broken down to, she had the number for the taxes that we owe back to the town, which was 39 and some
Yeah,
change.
34,000, 37,944.
Yeah, and then we get, is it 10%?
Yep,
And we get 10%
off the top.
plus our expenses and then return the rest. She was, I believe we talked about her breaking that all down, so we just get, you know, we get our 10%, we get our expenses because we've proven them by bills, and then the town gets 2 checks. One goes to the treasurer tax.
Because if you forget something, you think she's gonna write out a check to the town of Carver for
Then
the
we-
residual?
We can't forget anything.
Well, I'm telling you how we did it before, we brought it back because,
Did she do the closings before?
oh yeah, she did
Okay,
them all.
we've talked to her, remind
Yeah,
her.
I'll find out what she's, because this is how we used to do them, yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I knew, since this property has been sitting around for so long, that I knew we had bills that, before any of us came on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got it.
So that we would need to, we just need to make sure that there's any other, like we paid bills to KPL.
I have those, I
Okay.
went through those invoices and I went.
Okay.
The last one, I was gonna ask you, the last one on your treasurer's report, there was a KPL.
Yeah,
I didn't see anything for 90 Forest Street on there. It was more or less the domain,
Eminent domain.
eminent domain.
we split that bill with the town too. We had
Yeah.
most of it and they had part of it. We
Yeah,
Split it.
exactly. Was it more recent? Because I went in there last week, Tuesday. Is there another invoice? Did you write? I don't even know if you wrote
I
another.
haven't
check.
seen, that one hung around for weeks,
Okay.
you know, and actually paid it really late. I think the town is
Yeah.
probably gonna have a, you know, like a previous fiscal year
Yeah, that's okay.
problem with
Yeah.
that one too. It was so.
The one I have to add is, it's $406.60. It involved you, Sharon, and that was was the registry.
Recording the $175.
Yeah, and I had a separate one,
Yeah.
$108.50 I have to add.
That was this recording of the
The
second
public
variance.
hearing, it was a public hearing that
Yep.
came from that. So those basically are the ones that I need
Yep,
to add, which I will update.
Okay.
This one here, I was already here, I didn't realize it, but it's already here.
okay.
But I will make those changes. I just
Okay, and
didn't have
then,
enough
you know
time.
what, just touch base with her.
I will, I'd ask her, because this is how we did it before. I want to know her suggestion, if it's
Yep.
either the same or different.
Okay. And she did say the closing was all set, she just needed me to sign the deed and get it back to her, and she was gonna send me her FedEx.
Yeah, and
information.
Dan, in his text to me, said a latter part of the day, and we always did the closings in the latter part of the day, that's for sure, so I'll just touch bases with her on that as well.
But tomorrow morning, at some point, I'll be signing the deed for Forest Street. So we're.
I told him that too.
One step closer.
He said that the minute the closing happens, 3 days after, he's already made the tree cutting people to
Yeah.
come in and clear. And I said, I'm gonna be there too. And I said, we're gonna salute, we're gonna salute. He said, you think you're gonna be as happy as I am? I said, you damn tootin'. I said, maybe Sharon will even come.
I'm gonna make a motion at some point that 91st Street never come up.
I think, I told him Savory was probably the one that would have made that.
But, you know, good job by the RDA and
I think totally.
accomplishing something.
The RDA, you know, I think when we do something, we're gonna close on it, we're gonna make it work or happen, and we have a
Well,
good,
this was-
we have a good reputation, we can't spoil it.
This
That's
had,
what I'm telling you.
this had a little bit of a bumpy road
Yeah, well, yeah,
because,
it's true, it's okay,
you know,
it's okay, nothing runs smooth,
no, so
nothing runs smooth,
not having a deed was always the
issue.
This is, you look for the bills, I look for the deeds.
Yeah,
And
right,
We work
exactly.
together well. So I think that's the only thing on that, and then, so, treasurer's report,
Pat, Before you
You
give
sent
us the
one.
report, Pat, I sent you an email, and you said you were gonna send me another one where you were gonna show me that the 1,800 for Coldstream was deposited to the money market, but I didn't see it.
That wasn't 1,800, that was, I sent you an email back, it was $790.
Oh, it's okay, 790,
Yeah.
okay, I got it mixed.
That was
So,
deposited.
deposited, okay, I'll take another look at my thing, because I
That was
was looking.
deposited to the money market account.
Okay, I was just looking, I don't know, I'll have to look at it. Very good, though, thank you.
Wait a minute, I have to bring this back up now. The treasurer's report for balances for end of August, which I was a little bit late. I was away for a while, and then I had, what did I have? Computer problems.
I was gonna say stuff, life.
Computer problems. So, in any case, we had, in the, let's see, in the checking account, we got a balance of $2,085.99, but almost, it's about 1,900 of that is outstanding checks that were written towards the end of the month that haven't been cashed yet.
Oh, okay.
So that's.
And transfer some
So
money.
do we need to throw something in there?
It'd be good to get a chunk of change into the money
That's one
market.
thing. And then in the money market account, 28,118.83. In the Hillwood account, 12,801.81. And in the URP account, 3255.33.
Okay.
So those are there wasn't much activity in
Yeah,
August.
right now, I don't think
anyway.
we've generated any bills other than
And
after
I haven't
the
had
domain.
anything in a while. So those are the balances. But the reality of it is again, the AP account or the checking account has, that balance is there at about 200. But I don't keep much in there anyway.
Mhm.
And when we have to write checks, I usually, transfer a like amount.
Okay.
Unless it's for ongoing things, and then I'll do something else. But it's, that's the treasurer's report.
Pat, could I ask you on the last column, urban renewal plan,
Yeah,
the sense parts of it, the 10 units, like 7 is 0, there's no 0 there, there's no 2. Can you just take a quick look at it? It starts out okay, but then as you go down, the totals seem to adding, it's the detail within each line that seems to be getting lost. Well, one of the totals is lost. I don't know if it's more than an expansion of that, maybe, just an expansion of that
I
column?
think it's got something to do with the way the spreadsheet is coming through.
Yeah, do you need to expand that column? It's being
Uh,
truncated, is that the right
No,
word?
I don't know, I think there's a difference. I mean, when I do it on the computer, it's
It looks
fine.
fine.
When I bring it up on
Yeah,
my iPad,
Yeah.
it's a little bit different.
maybe you just have to expand it, it seems to be truncated.
I'll take a look.
Very good, thank you.
And circling back to Wade Street, one other thing that hasn't been ordered, and we had the appraisal, not the appraisal, but the
Survey?
the survey, it was just a tick under $15,000. So we haven't
Oh,
done it
you
yet.
mean, not on
No,
Wade Street?
No, the one that we're talking about having to do on
Oh,
Wade
Wade
Street.
Street, okay,
So
yeah.
that would either come under, it was South Shore Survey, gave an estimate for surveying that property, and that's an expense that the RDA will bear if we end up with the property, or the town will have to bear it. The town will also have to take it through town meeting, so it's a little bit of a pricey.
If they accept it that way,
If
but
they
if
accept
they rescind their vote and pass it on and allow.
Pass it on to
pass
us,
it on
then
to conservation.
we're definitely gonna have to. Well, we have to, that's something we have to.
Right, and the conservation, according to Sarah, anyway, that fund will reimburse us those expenses, so. That's good.
So we should check with them before we order the survey. I don't have any topics not anticipated in the last 2 days. Are there any members' notes? Anybody want to bring anything up in particular?
No.
Yep,
I owe a signature.
I got it right here. I'll do that too. And anything else?
I'm good.
Joanne?
I just before we close on Wade Street, I just went in and looked at all those bills way back in 2010 and so forth, and there was 2 bills. One bill was for Kathleen for $413. There was another bill that was expended to her for $525, and then we expended $1,351.56 to Makepeace. And I think earlier I told you why we did it. I don't have to go through that again. But we were going to be sued, and so we negotiated with them that we would pay back those expenses. And so.
Okay, you might check with Kathleen whether that's something we can be reimbursed for or not.
Oh, okay, well, Sarah said we could.
Oh, okay.
She said we could.
She said we could by conservation. This is when we sell to the town.
We might not sell it to the town. We
No.
already own it.
Okay, I'm on the wrong piece of property right now. Wade Street is different. I was thinking Forest Street.
Oh, yeah, no,
So,
no,
never
no,
mind.
no, no.
Never mind.
Wade Street. I
Never
just
mind.
want you to know those,
Okay.
I picked that up. So
Yep.
I'll create a little ledger for that, so if we talk to the select board, we know we had some expenses if we,
Yep.
we carry that with it, so.
Yep. And definitely we'll bring up in the meeting the South Shore Survey estimate in the neighborhood of up to
Right.
$15,000 to survey that property.
Right.
I didn't send out the minutes for 8/23. I
Yeah,
apologize.
okay, that's
I will
fine.
send them out tomorrow. Yeah, I'll send them out tomorrow. And we will review them along with the minutes for this meeting. Do you want to set another meeting? It has to be after October 18th because I'd like to have the report from the meeting with the select board.
Yes, okay.
So is it 25th, 26th, October?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody good?
So which, is it October?
How about the training? You gonna talk about, I was gonna talk about that.
I already had it.
No, these people haven't.
These people,
These people.
it's me.
Roger.
Well, Pat Maha.
Well, I'm sure you've had what was it?
The legal
Oh, the
training.
OML, the new OML. You've
I
had
think-
OML training, yeah.
Did you get the,
Open meeting law?
Yeah.
I don't believe in it.
Okay.
Yeah, right. I ignore it,
You wore the open meeting law? Okay, you can't be chair ever.
pretty much.
so but Roger is a new member, he should
You're
be,
sassy tonight.
you should be encouraged to go.
I've dealt with open
It's at
meeting law
3:30, I
for
don't know what kind
30
of.
years.
It's right here, the 25th, I'm doing this for
Yeah, I
Roger.
sent it out.
Is the law training,
Law
KP law is coming in, open meeting laws.
Yeah.
It's at 3:30, it's in the police station.
There's 2 different times,
There's 2
3:30 and 5:30.
Oh, 5:30, yeah, I chose this one. Okay, so 3:30 and 5:30, whatever's better. He's new, he should be encouraged to go.
What date?
And
The
encourage it.
25th, October.
I'll resend the information to you. Do you check your carverma.org?
I was checking it religiously, and then there was like nothing for like a long time. I just checked before, and there's like 18. I'm like, what in God's name? This is unheard of. This is absurd.
I know. And they're probably mostly from me, so,
Like, what is this? What?
yeah, if you don't check it every day, I check it at least every other,
But where'd it all come from?
Probably me.
The population, right?
It's a lot of forward stuff.
Yeah,
Okay, so October 25th is 6:30, still good?
say that, say
Is
what?
that, do I just show up? Or do it?
No, you have to sign up, that's what she's
Sign
gonna
up.
send
I'll
you.
resend the information.
And it goes to Elaine, I think it was. No, what's the other girl, Shelby?
Shelby.
Shelby's running that,
October 25th?
yeah.
And how long is that?
It's 1 hour.
All right, so, okay.
So when's the next meeting for us? Turn the page to November, or what? Oh, the 25th we're coming?
October.
October 25th.
You want us here on the 25th for the RDA?
Yeah, I want it after your meeting,
6:30,
6:30.
room 4.
Room 4, I'll book that tomorrow. I've gotten cocky on getting booked on time. And I book it for extra time, just in case, you never know. And I may ask John Smolak or see if Hill was in town. So come by, say hi. Yeah.
Sure, we'd love to see.
They
you.
never call, they never write. Just, come on, no, feeling or.
You're gonna ask John to come to this one?
I may ask John for an update.
Oh, like a Zoom thing for him?
No, just have him stop by if he has anything to report. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.
Done.